This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 108. Welcome to Comic Geek Speak. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Matt.
I'm St. Kelly.
I'm Jamie D.
I'm Peter Rios.
What are you?
I'm Batman. And welcome to the show.
This episode is sponsored by Atomica from Mercury Comics. And on the phone we have with us Sal Abinanti. How you doing, Sal?
Good, guys. How are you?
Pretty good.
Treating you all right?
Everything's going good. Yeah, how's your Sunday night?
It's going all right, man. You guys are getting like 60 minutes. You got like 20 guys over there. I can't keep track anymore.
Yeah, I guess you never spoke to Matt before, did you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
You're one of the lucky ones.
Too much power for you guys to have, I guess.
Never enough power.
More power.
That's right.
Well, before we get into like WonderCon in New York, just give us the lowdown on Atomica, on the release dates and what you got going.
Well, we got number 6 just came out a couple weeks ago, and the trade is kind of still at the printers of the first 6 issues, and then we got number 7 is due probably right after New York, so let's call it, say, 3 weeks. It's all tied up in all that printing stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Stuff that's completely out of my hands.
Yeah, that's got to be a little frustrating every now and then.
Well, you know, when they send you back stuff and, you know, you got too many pages or one page is printed twice and stuff like that, there's just things that, you know, you'd like to get on a plane and kill people, but there's laws against that.
Yeah. Especially if you do it on a plane. That's doubly bad.
Yeah, well, you got that going, but it's like, I don't know, I think a lot of it's because it's in Canada, but I'm going to leave that alone.
Well, then that's legal. You can go to Canada and kill
They
people.
print
all you want.
everything in Canada, which I think is a bit, you know, and it's not Canadian, it's French-Canadian. So you get these guys on the phone that don't even speak, you know, enough English to understand what you're telling them, and they're telling you, and, you know, so you got problems. We got to print more stuff here in the States, so you can just actually, you know, somebody's accountable.
Yeah. We ran into problems with Canada stuff in the past, so.
So tell us about WonderCon. That's usually like the convention that's like the opening of the whole season, correct?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it was taken over by San Diego a couple years ago, which was a great move because they moved it from Oakland to downtown San Francisco, which has been like a huge jump for them. And this, you know, last couple of years it's been progressively growing, and this year was probably the best one yet. I mean, they actually were turning people away on Saturday because the firemen shut the doors. So.
Yeah, I heard about that. They had to do a total recount.
You know, there's nothing more dangerous than like a fire inspector who's, you know, wanting to like display how much power he has.
Yeah.
And he took some CO2 readings, was what he said.
Jeez.
And he said there was too much, you know, and he shut the doors, and they were doing the one out, one in type of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Everybody had to go, even like the exhibitors and things.
No. What happened was he shut the door, and then he said you have to like let him in 100 at a time after 100 people left, kind of deal.
Wow.
It turned into one of those. It turned into a nightclub.
That's insane.
But there's always a lot of funk at cons anyway that they should have accounted for. You know, you get that cheese smell going at conventions.
Right.
Kind of factor into the whole equation.
Yeah, that artificially inflates your CO2 count.
That's right. But it was otherwise. It couldn't have been. I mean, it's always a great show. For my money, I think it's the number 2 show in the country. Honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, I would take it over the Wizard shows. I mean, it's a great location. The Moscone Center is brand new, and it's just the turnout is unbelievable. They're really into comics up there in the Northwest.
So you go to WonderCon and you're going out to New York. I mean, you're obviously one of those self-publishers that, you know, you really get out there. That's got to hit the wallet pretty hard.
Well, you got to hit if you're doing indie stuff, you really got to hit the Northwest because of all it's for some reason there's a bigger concentration of stores that buy indie books in the Northwest than any other part of the country.
Huh.
I think it's the whole Berkeley, Cal, free love thing that they like indie books. And you really got to, you know, if you're going to pick between L.A. and San Fran, I think if you're doing an indie book, you're better off doing San Fran.
Well, that's where the underground started with R. Crumb and Gilbert Shelton and all those guys.
I think so. I mean, what do I know? I mean, I don't sell a lot of copies, but what do I know?
So how was the reaction to Atomic? Was it just you that went out there?
It's good. Yeah, I brought my wife. Anything that's any kind that's interesting, in an interesting, piece of geography, she wants to go. Otherwise, she's usually busy. She doesn't want to go to just the regular ones. She has to go to the ones where they're interesting. And good. We sold out. It was great. It's a great show.
Cool.
Nice.
We sold out of everything we brought, so we're happy.
That's great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What are
You
your...
guys got to come out next year.
Yeah, I was supposed to come out. I kept saying I was going to come out this year, and I never did. And
It's worth it. It really is.
Sounds like it.
I mean, the San Diego guys do a great job on that show.
So what's your expectations for New York?
It's the book. It was taken over. I guess it's the book fair people that are putting this together. The same guys that run the New York Book Fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, everything you got to do to have a successful show, they've been doing. They've been advertising like crazy. They've got a great marketing campaign. They spent a ton of dough, and they've got a lot of people. I mean, they've got a lot of big names showing up. But in the end, inevitably, with New York shows, it just depends on the attendance. It depends on when who's going to show up in terms of the bodies. But I think it'll be a great show. I hope so. New York needs one big show.
Well, and that's what our thinking is. There's never been, well, I shouldn't say never, but in recent years there hasn't been a show that has had this much attention and this much scope. So it's almost like for all those people who would go to like maybe Wizard World Philly or down to MegaCon in Florida, it's almost like a no-brainer. I would think.
I hope so. I mean, the only problem you run into with New York is it's expensive. So for retailers, you run into lots of union problems at the Javits Center. You got a lot of, for a guy driving in with a van full of long boxes, where's he going to park and where's he going to, there's all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's been their excuse in the years past why there was no one big show in New York. Because I know Wizard was trying to put one together over the past few years, and they always told me it was just too expensive. So, but I'm hoping it's a good show. It looks like it's going to be great. I think it'll be fine.
So you're bringing out issues of Atomica. You're bringing out what else?
I'm bringing out everything. We're going to have a make ready at number 7. So anybody that wants to make fun of number 7 can actually see it in person. And then we're going to have all the back issues, and then we're going to have just a whole meet and greet. And I do sketches and free stuff and bribes for anybody that wants to buy the book. So
You're my kind of guy. I love that.
yeah, well, you got to do what you got to do.
And we're gonna. I've already emailed you once, and I'll email you again. But we're gonna try to lock down an hour, if you don't mind, at your studio, at your booth, so we can get an interview with you there, get your feeling of the con, and
Sure.
hopefully get some listeners out there.
Yeah, I think it'll. I mean, you guys are, and again, I had a lot of people coming up to me at WonderCon that know about you guys. So you're reaching a lot of people out there.
That's cool. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I was just like, they were treating me like Elvis because I knew you guys. I mean, I don't know if you're going to tie me into the whole groupie thing, but we'll talk about it after the show. Maybe.
Is your wife going to be there?
Yeah, no, she's not coming to New York.
There you go. Scores. Here we come.
Yeah, good deli in New York if you guys like deli.
Yeah. Cool. So your energies have been, primarily Atomica. Is there any interest to do something else?
Well, it's people ask me, well, how come you're not doing anything for Marvel or DC? And it's like, well, they haven't called me, so it's that kind of deal. I self-published because I got tired of standing around with my portfolio, and that's usually what I tell guys that are always looking for gigs. I say, guys, you just hit the wall eventually where you just got to publish yourself. I mean, if you're trying to break in the business now, it's very hard because there's so many talented dudes out there that aren't working or that are under contract with DC and Marvel. So you really gotta be an A-list guy to break into comics now. And in lieu of Marvel and DC calling you, I think you just got to do it yourself eventually. And that's what I'm doing.
We just had a discussion about this. Not we were guests on another podcast that we'll talk about later, but. As a self-publisher, did you ever look into just having your comic downloaded for free, like putting it out there instead of doing like an actual comic? What are your thoughts about that? Like trying to using the internet as a tool?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because Atomica originally was a web comic. It was one of those, it was I kind of really liked what CrossGen did with their comic stuff, where they had a really impressive software system and they had some really good guys working for them that had these online comics where you clicked a page and it flipped and it was great colors and it had but it just, I don't know, I'm not, I mean, I'm good with the computer, but I'm not like that good with the computer. And I found that I wound up having to use too many people, and it got to be too, and then inevitably, I just wanted to draw the book. And I didn't want it, and too much of it started to become the software thing and less about the drawing of it. And, being an old school guy, there's something about holding the comic in hand, but a big part, I mean, I would say probably the majority of everything I'm trying to do to market Atomica was all online. I didn't really see anything worth, like I looked into Wizard and some other places to advertise, and I just didn't think anything was as useful as the internet was. But I don't know, it seems like there's been times when, over the last 10 years, we seem to think it's going to finally break through and have online comics, but I don't know, it just hasn't seemed to really taken off.
That's interesting what you said about, you have your team that has to create a comic, but then you also got to have a team that knows how to do all that. I know what you're talking about with CrossGen. There were times where you could expand the word balloon so you could read them, and you could make certain panels larger. So I got to imagine
good guys. They had some really good guys working on that side.
I got to imagine though that's got to tweak the art a little bit. Like if it's not crisp and detailed, what do you how are they going to be able to isolate certain sections and things like that?
Well, I mean, there's two types. There's the type where do you want a comic where you're just reading it like it's a comic, or are you talking about stuff where you integrate Flash and stuff like that? And I found they found when you're going to use the partially animated stuff that you have to simplify your artwork. You have to bring it way down, and a lot of artists just don't want to do that. And the other stuff, like I think Marvel has online comics now, don't they? Where you can go and kind of pick up some of the. It's one of those deals where people start to feel it's clumsy. You click on it and you're reading it and you're thinking, well, okay, this is cool, but I can do this if I just buy the book.
Right.
And I think it's vital to have it to kind of pique people's interest and to do stuff where they can kind of get to see a little bit of a trailer and get a little bit of a sneak peek of the book. But eventually, I don't know. It just seems to me that right now, I mean, eventually, I think it might come to where print medium is kind of dying. But I've been hearing that for 10 years.
Right. There is a panel out in New York about the future of single comics. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's. I don't think it's so much a problem of this generation. I think they're worried about the next generation.
Right.
Because they just don't read comics. Comics used to be available everywhere. You could get them at any street corner, under the subway, and in the grocery store. Now it's become like porn. You got to go to a special store to buy a comic book.
Out of people's trench coats.
Out of people's trench coats.
Well, we did our episode 100 live at our local comic shop, and our retailer Lem, the owner, he had Atomica on the shelf, and one of our listeners, Sean Whelan, came from Ohio to come to the recording, and I guess he was asking for recommendations, and we just pointed right to the shelf, and he picked up at least, I guess at that time there were maybe 5 copies out, and he picked them all up. So I know that you got one reader there.
Yeah, well, it's tough. I mean, I sympathize with. I mean, I get people saying that to me all the time at shows where my retailer doesn't buy it, and I sympathize with retailers because it's an independent book, and they've taken chances on indie books in the past. And if you're a retailer and you buy an indie book and it doesn't fly, then you got to eat it. You got to basically, you're stuck with it. Or they've taken chances on indie books that have gone a couple issues and then they've dried up, and then again he's got to eat the book. So I tried to get some big guys to do covers only to try to help retailers market the book a little bit better, and maybe have a little more confidence that they could sell it. But it's still a push. I mean, comics are like cigarettes. There's that brand loyalty that people don't want to break out of sometimes.
Well, I mean, the packaging is great. The story is interesting.
I'm trying. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I had to sell my soul to get those covers. So,
So the one story you mentioned in the email that I got to hear about is you said there was a porn star cat fight at WonderCon?
Yeah.
Oh, now you're talking.
Well, it's one of the few. Normally at cons when you hear a commotion, it's because Wizard's giving away a keychain or something. Those guys that'll light themselves on fire for a keychain at Wizard or something. Drink their own vomit for a T-shirt or whatever. But there's like a big commotion, and I guess somebody in Artist Alley brought his mistress to the con, who was a porn star, and his wife found out, and she showed up at the con, and it was like a brawl. And I kid you not. And then one of them pulled like a comb and tried to stab her with it, and it was like a big melee. So
WonderCon is happening.
Yeah, no, and it was like these. So it was like these two Filipino women beating the crap out of each other, right there in Artist Alley, and they had to finally drag one of them out of there.
There weren't any accidental nip slips, were there?
No, there was. There wasn't any. There wasn't a lot of clothes being torn off. But, it got good because they were swearing at each other in Filipino. There were two Filipino ladies. And it got good. It was like Full Metal Jacket.
That wasn't listed on WonderCon's program, I bet.
That's right.
It will be next year.
Yeah.
It was one of the few times that, you saw something that was like, oh, it wasn't the the Boba Fett guy who It wasn't the lactating guy in the spandex this time.
The overweight Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like you guys got a family show, or I'd get into a little more descriptions, but I'll leave it alone.
Did you have front row seats, or did you have to finagle?
No, well, it got loud quick, and then again, I thought normally when there's a commotion, it's usually because the guy that plays Uncle Owen is there or something, and this was just like I caught the tail end of it when like a rumor started real fast that one of them had a gun. Yeah, it was good. And I don't know who started it. It might have been me, but Artist Alley kind of cleared out real fast. So it was good.
When you scream gun, that usually happens.
Gun at it. When there's Vulcans and Klingons around, you don't want to yell gun.
I think you just guaranteed about like 100 people coming to your booth in New York.
No, it was just every once in a while you're gonna get something at a con that you're like, for 50 every 50 you do that are duds, there's one where it's a good one.
That's great.
One of the first cons I was at, I saw Rob Liefeld get the crap kicked out of him, and that was worth it.
Whoa!
Back up!
Yeah. What are the specifics on that one?
Well, it was San Diego about 10 years ago. And he was drunk, and the other guy was drunk, and I think one of the guys that was drunk he owed money to, and just beat the crap out of him at a pool hall.
Allegedly, right?
Yeah, no, he did. I saw it. I mean, it was,
No, I saw it. He saw
I mean, I was there, and I don't think too many people were there. Were trying to break it up, but Rob ran out of there real fast.
Oh boy. It's like scandalous. Libelous or whatever.
We need to have you on after every con.
They're terribly exciting play. You know how it is. I mean, they're usually without incident, but every once in a while, you'll get a good one, and that was one of the ones.
I like how you say a good one.
You'll get something that was worth like, oh, okay,
Are you coming in for all 3 days?
Yeah, I'm coming in. I usually come in on Thursday to set up, a day early and kind of get the lay of the land, and then leave on Monday. That kind of deal.
They have the exhibitors up on the New York Comic Con page. They don't exactly have your like where you're located yet, but you're not in Artist Alley. You're actually in exhibit.
They were really good to me. The New York guys. They gave me an exhibitor booth. I don't think I'm gonna do small press anymore. Small press just gets to be a little too confining now. I like to spread out and bring more issues and stuff.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna do exhibitor size from here on in. And they were nice enough to give me an exhibitor space, way back when. So they're good people. These New York guys, they're
And your booth is just it's red.
Yeah, I got a few weird ones in San Francisco that threw the communist comrade thing at me, but I got to kind of reassure them I'm a You know, I'm a guinea from the north side of Chicago with nothing to do with communism, but, you know, they still want to get political. I try to tell guys, it's not political, it's not religious, it's just, you know.
Just a comic.
It's just, you know, I couldn't get hired by Marvel and DC, so I went out on my own. What could I tell you?
Well, I know I'm looking forward to finally meeting you face to face.
Yeah, you guys,
Yeah,
I gotta
totally
tell you know, all BS aside, you guys are big out there in California. I had at least a dozen guys come up to me and mention that they heard me on the podcast the last time.
That's great.
And I was on last time, I think, for about 30 seconds. Because I was in a coma when you guys called me.
Well, heck, with these stories, man, you're gonna get a huge fan
Yeah,
following.
I got some. You guys got to have like an after-hours show. I'll tell you some of the like, you know, better kind of stories that I've got.
We'll go out to dinner.
Yeah, we'll have to go jump on a pizza or something, and I'll have to hit you with a few of the ones that involve, like, you know, a little more R-rated stuff.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, you could have that as a feature at your booth, story time with
Sure.
Sal, and then you'll have to buy one issue of Atomica, and then you get to hear the stories. You know.
That's right. Usually that's they come and ask, you know, hey, you know, is it true about such and I'm like, guys, I could tell you that it really happened because I was there. I don't like to tell stories where they kind of take on lives of their own.
Right.
But if I tell you it happened, it usually meant it's because I got wet, or I got blood on me, or I was there.
Uncle Sal, tell us again about Rob Liefeld getting beat up.
He got smacked, you know, like a $2 hooker. It was like a Tijuana crack whore. He got slapped around. It was. At that point, everybody hated him because he ran out of the business owing so many guys money that they were in line to beat him up.
Oh my God, this is our best episode ever.
I'm becoming my new favorite person.
You just leveled the room.
You know, and he still comes to cons. I still see him at cons.
You know, at Baltimore, he had one hell of a line
Oh,
of people waiting to meet him.
I mean, he has a good following, but he's, you know, and I'm telling you, he's a likable dude if you meet him, but it's just he just ran out owing tons of people money, and that's why so many guys in the business, you know, talk trash about him.
Oh, you learn something
what
new
happened.
every day. Cool. Well, we're
Wow.
anxious to meet you now.
Yeah, no, we'll have a good time. You know, you guys seem like the guys that appreciate sophisticated humor.
Yeah, we does.
Well, like you said, we're going to meet you, and we'll try to, once we get our schedule of, like, you know, if we want to hit a panel or whatever, we'll try to get it out on an episode of a certain hour that we can, you know, hang out at your place. And people there's a few stories that I think your listeners would appreciate. Well, we'll be bringing the recording equipment.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No, and again, it'll be good to meet you guys in person, and, you know.
Cool.
You could see I look like as much of a degenerate as I sound.
Good, so do we.
But you guys, you're going to have your own little setup, or are you just going to kind of be bouncing around? And
Totally bouncing around. We have like a sort of a place at Mike Norton's Artist Alley table.
Oh, okay.
Which is really cool. He's allowing us to be there and hang out and leave T-shirts and things like that. But mostly we're going to be bouncing around, meeting people that we've talked to, and selling our convention T-shirts and going to the panels, trying to line up some future interviews and things like that.
You know what you guys, you see, because you guys are like, you know, I feel you guys are right on the threshold of breaking out into, you know, big stuff. You got to make a mental note of who's nice to you.
Yeah.
Because once I'm telling you, you're going to get guys that aren't going to be nice to you, and then when everything like is really like through the roof for you guys, then they'll be nice to you. You got to make a mental note of who's nice to you, you know, when you're just, you know, one of the guys. Because those are the guys. You want to stay away from those people.
Yeah. Hey, we appreciate everything that you know, people like Mike Norton and you and Steve Bryan at Athena Voltaire. I mean, there's just so many creators that have supported us.
You want people, guys that don't have an ulterior motive or don't have an agenda for being nice. You know, you want guys that are just regular guys.
Yeah.
Because you can meet some guys and it's like, you know, if you're not somebody that they feel can do them any good, they're like, oh, get away from me. They don't want to talk to you.
Right. That's advice to take to heart.
That's right.
Yeah, but there's a lot of good guys you could talk to. You know, who's really interesting that you should talk to is Todd McFarlane's father.
Really?
Yeah, Bob is 10 times more interesting than Todd.
Screw Todd.
Oh yeah, no, Todd's a great guy, but his father is just 10 times more entertaining.
So when we meet Todd McFarlane at the Mocha Gallery thing, we're going to go, hey, Todd, we love your work. Now, can you get us in contact with your dad?
Where's your dad?
No, because his dad usually goes to the cons. His dad kind of runs the toy thing for him.
Oh, okay.
Usually sets up for him, and he's a really entertaining dude.
That's great.
You know, Todd, it's great, but when you get off of Spawn, he doesn't want to really have much to say.
Should we tell him Sal sent us?
Yeah, he'll remember me right away. He sends me a Christmas card every year.
Nice.
They all love me. It's great. The guy with the what? The guy with the Russian book. The bald guy. Yeah, all right. Bald guy with the star on his head. I got it. You know.
Oh man, I wish we were at New York already. We got a couple days yet. It's like,
It's a good time. We're gonna have a good time.
Sounds like.
I think February is a good time. It's the best time of the year when you can appreciate the horrible weather the way we can for a con, because you get between drawing a comic, which is you're in the house 12 hours a day, and the horrible weather, which means you can never get out. Conventions are good this time of the year. You know, you get to see people you don't get to see all the time, and you get out and you get to meet people, and it's good.
I have to tell you, I packed my bag today.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
You're ready to go?
I'm all set.
Javits is good. Getting a cab, you have to figure out a way to do something with the devil to get a cab out of the Javits Center, but otherwise it's good.
Well, we're only like a half a mile, so we'll just be walking.
Oh, okay. Where you guys? Are you all set up? You got your hotel and
Yep.
everything?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're all good to go.
square.
You don't want to say your hotel on the air?
Oh, it's the Ramada.
And,
It's a Ramada. It's just it's supposed to be half a mile from the convention center.
Good.
So.
Yeah.
You said you're going to do convention sketches and something like that. What?
I do whatever people want.
So what do you charge? What do you?
No, I don't charge.
Oh.
I used to try to have that thing where if you buy a book, I'll do a sketch, but I wound up doing no sketches because nobody wants to buy it. So I just say, yeah, I'll do a sketch, and of course they never want Atomica. They want like Scarlet Witch or something. They want something perverted, and I'm always like, guys, I'm sorry, I gotta do Atomica because I can't do Brother Voodoo as well as I can do.
Well, good. Now I have a reason to bring my sketchbook.
Yeah, I do free stuff for everybody. And just don't look at it before you go to bed because my stuff is usually pretty,
No. I'm interested. I'll be
Yeah,
there.
I am. Jeez.
Cool.
That's cool.
You guys got to get a theme with your sketchbook. Then it's more entertaining.
I was debating about a theme for a certain character for everybody or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works out because if you guys, especially because you're working in the business, you go to a lot of shows. You'd be amazed over the years what kind of stuff that you compile. I've seen some unbelievable sketchbooks, where you see like, wow, And then artists are very competitive by nature, where once they see somebody did a great one for you, now they got to try to top that one. So.
Yeah, I guess that works to your benefit. See, I don't have a book. I just usually get them, because I want to frame them all, and I don't want. I'm worried about having them all in one book. It's like, what if I misplace that and it's the 10 years worth of sketches? I'm screwed,
Well, it usually winds up on eBay then.
That's right, and I have to buy it back for $1,000.
That's right. And then I noticed that the front page, I think it was, can't remember which website it was, that they're advertising that Russian model is going to be at the New York show.
Oh, is that? Wait, you mean Mila Jovovich?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, there you go. She could be your.
I always lie and tell people I flew her in. He's like connected with the whole. She was in from Moscow and we were both there and we ran into each other. And,
Well, I know a convention sketch I won. I won Atomica separating two Filipino women going
That's
at
right. And one of them like turned a. She sharpened a toothbrush into a stabbing weapon.
Shit.
And then they put Liefeld in the background getting his ass kicked.
Now he's gonna come up to me at the con.
it. He's never going to talk to any of us ever again.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you got to worry too much. He needs to talk to you more than you need to talk to him. No, because all I ever hear about is his next movie. He's going to make a movie, and like they're buying his stuff for movie rights, and I'm always thinking I could never understand that.
It'd be nice to see a first movie.
But now, what's he doing? Is he still doing a book for? Wasn't he doing Titans?
He did 2 issues of Teen Titans, and he's going to have a couple pages in Superman Batman that's dedicated to
Jeff
Loeb's son.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's really cool. I actually, anybody that wants to get on there, no matter what I may think of them personally, I'm all for as many different people getting their hands on that book as possible.
No, it's like I said. I mean, he's love him or hate the guy. He's got. I mean, we were set up behind him at San Diego a couple of years ago, and he had huge, like you said, he had a huge line. I mean, he has people that just die to get sketches, but he's trying so hard to distance himself from the comic thing when he's at shows that you're like, well, Rob, no offense, but that's kind of what they know you as. They know you as the guy that can't draw feet. Guy that puts clouds over feet and hands. I'm sorry. I'll leave him alone.
Sal, how
He
tall
sold
are you?
how many millions of books, and I'm doing what? X-Force sold how many? And I'm pushing Atomica.
You need to draw some big guns in Atomica. Really,
That's
really
right.
big guns.
That's right.
With
Well,
no triggers.
Maybe if he comes to my booth and starts a fight, maybe I'll sell more books like that.
Oh man.
All right, I'll shut up. You guys get it.
No, we have the time. I'm just sitting here stunned. This is great.
Now, if you guys if I knew what level your show was, I can cater the stories to it based on that. I got a couple that are just, you don't want to say them on the air, but they're priceless.
Well, we'll do them at the show
we'll
or
definitely
something.
do that.
Now, San Diego is, of course, the obvious one. You guys are going to San Diego.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
We're going to Chicago too.
Oh, okay. Because San Diego, I think it was Wednesday, was the big day. That was the housing day.
Yep, I got my room on. We got our room on Wednesday.
It was like I got more phone calls from people that got aced out of housing. They just everything was taken.
Wow.
It went like I think in under 90 minutes.
Jeez.
Yeah, I had my room booked and everything in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's like it gets crazier every year. Just getting a room for that place.
Do you go to Wizard World Philly?
Yeah, last couple of years I went, and it's a good show.
Are you going this year?
I think so. I think I'm gonna. It's in June, right?
Yeah.
First weekend in June.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing kind of creates problems is it's the weekend before MoCA, and I always do MoCA, which is a great show, and it kind of is a little bit of a scheduling thing. But yeah.
And what about Heroes Con?
Heroes, I haven't done it in the past, but I've been hearing good things about it the last year or two. They've become like the show that's mad at Wizard or whatever because of Atlanta. And I got a couple emails from friends of mine that go, and they say it's a good show.
All right. We're just trying to get an idea of where you're going to hit maybe some of the listeners who can't come to New York.
Well,
or
I
Chicago.
try to do as many of them as I can, but there are also, there's been some shows that I did last year I did every show. Last year, if there was a garage sale down the block from you, I was probably there with you. I did everything. I mean, I was just like set up in men's rooms at restaurants. And it was, and some of them, no offense, some of them were just waste of time. Because there's just nobody there. People are like, oh, Sal, you got to pay dues. I'm like, guys, I'm not talking about there was nobody at my booth. I'm saying there was nobody at the con. I'm set up next to Boomer from Battlestar Galactica, and he's the only guy that bought the book.
Hey, I met him. He was a good guy to talk to.
That's right. Well, I set up, it was weird because at WonderCon I was set up next to the bald guy from Beneath Planet of the Apes. The guy that peels his skin off.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's done anything since that. So I was like, okay, well, I remember you kinda, but most people who were born like before after 1970 have no clue who he is. He was all insulted that nobody remembered who he was.
Well, when you come to Philly, we'll show you around Philly because
Philly's good. Philly, it's like the only problem is every time I leave Philly, my clothes don't fit.
Oh yeah.
Too many
Food is
cheesesteaks.
just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the food there.
Yeah.
Sal, I just had a picture in my head of you sitting in a bathroom going, no, that's not a paper towel. It's my comic book, man.
That's I don't have to be in a bathroom. That usually happens at the regular con.
Some 4-year-old just vomited, and can we need something to clean it up?
You get some of that. You get like I said, people either want to argue with me about politics or religion, and they're always heartbroken when they find out that the book is about neither one. I would love to like say that Atomica has this big political statement, and I'm like, guys, nothing like that. It's just an excuse for him to beat up gods, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's almost like he's like just the Russian version of like Thor almost.
Yeah.
Pretty much, kind of. I mean, it's I wanted to always. I grew up with the Marvel stuff and a lot of Jack Kirby, and that's what I always wanted to do for Marvel and DC. But I couldn't get arrested over there, so I figured, well, I'll just kind of do my own thing.
Well, you're doing it, and we appreciate it. And
So far so good.
I can't wait to meet you out in New York.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have a good time.
Sounds great.
If you guys, you need bail money or anything, let me know.
We'll keep your cell phone number handy.
You guys sound like the types.
All right. Well, we're going to let you go, and we appreciate everything.
Anything you guys need. Who's your next guest? Like Jenna Jameson, or what do you guys got?
No, we're actually just going to do some talking this episode.
Oh, okay. You mean you're going to talk instead of me talking?
Yeah. Once we hear those stories, though, we're going to bring you back.
You're going to. As soon as I hang up, you're like, God, he shut up finally.
No way.
No way.
I think we might make you a regular guest.
You're not kidding.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, again, thanks for everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you, Sal.
Everybody out there, make sure you crack open your New York Comic-Con program and look for Mercury Comics and Atomica.
And pick up those issues. I have 5 and 6 sitting on my pile to read, and now that I know we're meeting you, I'm gonna make sure I finish 5 and 6.
Pile to read. That's nice.
Oh yeah.
No, because at least you don't live in denial. I live in complete denial. I have those piles that I'm going to read, and it's just stuff from college that's still sitting. Never get to it.
Yeah, we got to do our homework,
Yeah. What's the hot read now? What's everybody reading? Is that I guess it's X-Men and
the Infinite Crisis for DC, and
is that what it is?
The stuff building up for Civil War for Marvel. That's a lot of the hot stuff right now.
I'll tell you, that Moon Knight stuff by Finch looks great.
Yeah.
It does look nice.
We're looking forward to that.
Yep.
Yeah, that stuff looks like it's really not going to be nice stuff.
I also think everybody here is pretty geared up for Brubaker and Michael Lark on Daredevil.
You're right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's just like a lot of stuff. I still pick up the Goon a lot. I like the Goon.
Oh yeah.
There's some fans in this room of that. Yep.
Yeah. Eric Powell's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's gonna be up there too. He was on the list. I just noticed for the show in New York.
Yeah. If you guys get a chance to sit down and just approach him, he's a super nice guy. I was lucky enough to get him to do a cover for Atomica, and he's real down to earth. He's not one of these, like another one of these Dark Horse guys that you can't talk to him anymore.
Right.
Yeah, we were out there when he won the Eisner. He's like, guys, have you read the rest of what was up for this award? Because it was much better than my stuff. And I'm thinking, no way, your stuff is fabulous.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, and he's his stuff just seems, those covers he's doing for Marvel just keep getting better and better too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if you saw his Swamp Thing covers are fantastic.
Oh yeah, I saw previews for that.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites right now.
That's awesome.
Angel on Spider-Man looks good too.
Yeah, it does look good.
Angel Medina on Spidey. Yeah.
There's some really good stuff. I mean, I think it's really great that we're getting back. I shouldn't even say getting back because we've been, but it's more about both the collaboration of writer and artist. I don't think there really is one person taking over. Not the writer, not the artist. It seems to really be a collaboration.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that they're bouncing around creative teams too a little bit. Because you leave one guy on a book for too long. I guess Marvel's doing that thing where every 5 issues they're jumping creative teams now, which is kind of interesting. But again, what do I know?
Well, I want to see your book, so.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Cool.
I mean, it's a labor of love, so.
And you can definitely tell.
I don't know what else to do with my money.
Give it to us. Yeah.
Treat us to scores.
Flash dancers.
There you go. All right, Sal.
Okay, Sal.
All right, guys.
Take care. Have a good night.
All right.
And we'll
See
talk
you in a few days.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you in New York.
Bye-bye. Good.
All right. Stay out of trouble.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
He's got to become a regular after every con.
Wow.
Yeah, con wrap-up with Sal.
Behind the scenes at a con.
This week's con story by Sal.
we have to preface any of that with like legality of? I don't know.
I hope not.
No, we didn't. There was no slander or libel there. He witnessed everything, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like he said he saw or he heard about this. He said he saw.
He started with the commotion and followed up.
He's a great guy. You can check out Mercury
Yeah.
Comics. They have all his issues for sale on there, and do yourself a favor and check it out. And we'll let you know when the trade will be released.
I'm super excited to beat him now.
So, we have a few other. I want to remind everyone who's coming to the New York Comic Con that opening Saturday at the MoCA, the Museum of Comic and Cartoon Art in New York, is a special Todd McFarlane exhibit. They have all kinds of original pages from spanning his career, and so that should be a good show. And if you haven't been to the MoCA before, you should check it out at some point if you're coming to New York, because it's pretty much a one-of-a-kind thing, and it could use your support.
Do yourself a favor. Get onto the New York Comic Con. It's nycomiccon.com. Get onto their site. Check out the panels. Schedule your time. You know, if you're one of those people that really likes to make the most of your convention experience, they have some really good panels out there. A lot of discussions, not just on like previews of publishers of what's coming out in the year and stuff like that, but discussions on the industry, discussion on single comics versus trades, the future of the format. There's just tons of panels.
I saw one how to write sci-fi, how to be a sci-fi writer. Who Charlie Houston is going to be on it, along with some other writers, which I thought sounded kind of interesting. There's just a diversity. You're right. There's just a diversity of stuff out there.
Yeah, so take advantage of it. You know, I'm not going there with the mindset of shopping. I want to really experience this first one, you know, and see what
Don't
they
let
have
the
to
retailers
offer.
hear you say
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry. No, you guys can shop all you want. I mean, please, I've given enough to retailers at convention. They know they can get my money very easily. All they got to do is whip out a 50-cent box.
Peter,
back issue
I
bin.
got
yeah,
your
exactly.
box.
I'm there.
What's that? 50-cent books.
We know that Mike Norton's going to be there. Devil's Due has a presence. Top Shelf will be there. Crazy Comics, Gene Colan. There's going to just you can't even name it all. There's just so much to do and see.
All that and Peter Scolari too.
Really? I didn't see
he's
that.
He's gonna be there along with you Flash fans, Flash Gordon fans. Melody Anderson's going to be there too.
Well, hey, Braxton should come up. He's such a huge Flash Gordon fan.
Yeah. Peter Scolari, man, I have to find a Bosom Buddies picture.
I was going to say, the non-Academy Award-winning half of Bosom Buddies.
Yeah. No, he was good in Newhart, too, though.
Yeah.
He was
Oh,
good.
yeah, no, I like him as an
he's
actor,
really
a comedic
good.
actor.
I do want to throw out Idiot Genius Comics actually sent us some preview books for their Dragon Firefly Island #1. And they sent out a little press release. They're going to be at New York Comic Con at the Jacob Javits Center. It was formed in 2003 by Michael Abraham West, Nathan Olivares Giles, and Peggy J. West. The book is a limited series. It's going to run for 50 issues, set on the mythical land of Dragon Firefly Island.
Do you say 50?
50 issues. That's what I have here.
It's a mini Cerebus right there.
That's how is that limited? I mean, other than the fact they're only doing 50, that's...
It spans over 3 generations. It shows how one man must go beyond all odds to gain the trust and respect from his long-forgotten family and his dying people to destroy shadow demons from taking over the island. Combining martial arts and fantasy gives the comic book a unique look and feel. The main focus of the story is how a small group of warriors must form an alliance with an evil force that was responsible for killing their leader to stop something more horrific from occurring. Along the way, the warriors will inadvertently uncover even a bigger mystery about why the island really existed. So I want to thank them for sending us those copies, and we're going to get in touch with them and help them promote their book.
Sounds actually very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do like the concept that they said, hey, 50 issues. As opposed to this is 6 issues, this is 10 issues, whatever. Like, that's ambitious. I mean, hopefully they can succeed and keep publishing because if you get sucked in, you don't want to be cut short. But I mean, that's I really admire the fact that
they're laying it out like that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They have a big story and they want to tell it.
They have a plan and they want to put out those 50 issues.
If you're looking for them at New York Comic Con, they're in the Artist Alley. Their booth is AA54 under Mike West. That's what it'll be under. So check them out. Idiot Genius Comics.
And while we're on the topic of New York, we received our convention shirts, and let me tell you, they look fantastic.
They are sweet.
I was very
great.
pleasantly surprised with how well they turned out. So if you're one of the people who wants to get a shirt, I think you'll be pleased. I want to go over our mailbox here. Since last I went over, I have 3 new postcards. I have one from Mario and Jen in West Virginia, and it's funny because it's from Wheeling, and it shows this big bridge at night, and he just says, "What a cheesy picture," and it's just kind of funny that it's like they're so proud of their bridge in Wheeling, and we got 2 from David Beard, who sent us some stuff before, and one is a postcard from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the new movie from Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr., and then the other one is Salt Lake City, Utah. Because I guess he had this one before. He hasn't. I don't know when he was in Salt Lake City, but because they're from Duluth, Minnesota, is where the postmark's from.
Minnesota.
Isn't Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? Wasn't that a comic?
It was a cross-gen book, or it was going to be. Did any issues came out?
It was a
or-
cross-gen book. Issues came out, but this has nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought that too when I first saw it, but it's really reading the synopsis of the movie. It has nothing to do with what they came out with.
And then I also got some more stamps, and you people are on fire with the stamps. I love it. This is Little Witch Amy on our forum, Little Witch UK. She sent this collection of stamps that she says she received. These stamps were given to me by one of my teachers for winning a competition when we visited the Mary Rose about 10 years ago now. So she got us a prize in school. And she sent us the stamps. It's this whole Henry VIII, a big stamp of Henry VIII, and then his wives. It's funny. That's great, though. They're really nice stamps. They're in a big bound collection thing.
They're all headshots, right?
Yes, they are. And then I also got some more stamps from Mick Ryan in China. And it's this whole set of some Chinese stamps that are really cool. And the letter came registered mail, and I had to go to the post office to pick it up, and it was a whole big deal.
Wow.
And it's
Looks
very
nice.
cool. So I thank everyone for all the stuff you're sending. It's really cool. I think that's all I got. If somebody sent us something and I missed you, let me know, because the stuff's coming in so fast. I'm having a hard time keeping track of it.
Guess we should thank Steve Bryant and who gave us the
Chad
Fiddler.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent out some copies of Athena Voltaire #1, signed. Because Shane bought the last copy at Golden Eagle,
Yes, I did.
and I can't wait to read it. Looks good.
Yeah, and Steve, you said if you forgot anyone, you forgot a copy for Matt. Poor Matt sitting here.
Oh.
That's because he doesn't really matter.
I like the silent partner.
But he remembered Tasha, which is really
Yeah, he sent Tasha one. which-
Well, you can't forget Tasha.
That's
right.
Jackass.
Ay.
Please don't forget.
We had a couple weeks ago. We talked about the fan art challenge on our forum, and we asked for Cloak and Dagger drawings, and we got a bunch. So it's time for a new pick. What should we do
Let's
now?
go indie. Is there a popular indie character?
Something I can think of.
Like Mage or Invincible or Nexus? Nexus might be cool if anybody knows who that is.
Yeah, I was gonna say trying to figure that out. How about
Or Usagi or
how about
something.
Hellboy in the
I like
Hellboy
Usagi.
universe?
What's that?
Hellboy in the Hellboy universe. That would be BPRD and. Some
You draw that
interesting-
fish guy.
Oh,
Abe
yes,
Sapien.
Abe Sapien. Yeah, I like.
There
He
you
was
go.
cool.
Or actually, I like that Nazi guy with the face thing on. That was
yeah.
really cool too.
There you go.
Yeah, how about people from that universe? Not Hellboy though.
Yeah, because somebody did.
They did
Yeah,
a
Loopy
couple
Dave's
of those.
got that awesome Hellboy
Yeah.
drawing.
But some of the other characters.
That sounds good. There you go. There's your challenge.
Wow, what are we talking about, Peter?
We're talking about.
We actually are already more
Yeah.
than halfway through the show.
That's good. We've neglected the Marvel event segments, and we've gotten
yeah.
some calls for it. So here we are. We're going to talk about Marvel's and X-Men's Mutant Massacre. Who's read it?
I might have read some of the issues way back when. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about it.
For God's sakes.
The mutants
I'm
got
gonna
massacred.
get hammered again because I guess I'm the only one that's read it. Yeah,
I've read it.
definitely read it.
I've read it, and I remember at the time, it was huge. It was like
Well, yeah, because the big thing was the whole changing Angel from...
Yeah.
Oh, was that Mutant
Yeah,
Massacre
that's Mutant
when
Massacre.
when Simonson's
Well,
X Factor run?
not
and-
yet. That was actually Fall of the Mutants, but
that was Fallen Mutants?
yeah, what happened to him because of or the reason why happened in Mutant Massacre because
Okay.
he harpoon
Yeah.
pinned him up against the.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, him coming back as Archangel with the metal...
Right, that happened in
wings.
Fall of the
You're right,
Mutants.
that's Fallen
yeah.
Mutants. But yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
death
I
of...
remember that. I can
Yeah.
tell you about that story.
Well, we're going to talk about that afterwards.
Oh, okay, good. Only
Wasn't-
the X Factor part is.
Wasn't it also Gambit's big revelation about his part in this?
Well, that was years later.
yeah, like totally out of whack with the continuity of it.
The whole premise was all of a sudden the Morlocks were being hounded and killed and massacred and for what you thought no apparent reason, and there was this group called the Marauders, and they were just going around killing all these poor Morlocks, and eventually one of them gets to the X-Men, and they go underground to the Morlock tunnels, and at this time they had the X-Men, but you also had X Factor with Scott and Jean.
The original
and,
5.
yeah, the original 5. Thanks.
Who had basically set themselves up as mutant hunters.
Yeah.
Right. So
They
neither
had that
team.
shady guy.
Oh yeah, Hodge,
Cameron Hodge.
which is
Yeah,
which is a
oh.
later event.
That's right. Didn't he become some kind of mutant himself thing?
Came like the part of the what would then become
he-
the Phalanx.
Yeah,
and
he
stuff.
was a
Yeah,
mutant.
yeah.
I
So
think.
so these two teams didn't know about each other, and they went down and investigated in the tunnels, and there also Thor was included in Power Pack, and
Yay, Power Pack!
and it was just mayhem. It was just really just like the title says, Mutant Massacre. And what I thought was interesting was it showed the X-Men kind of in that whole light of what would they do if their backs are up against the wall, and it was very surprising what some of them would do, especially Colossus.
That's amazing.
He just and we've said before, like some of these Marvel events things we're going to spoil a little bit because the individual acts are powerful, but the overall story is really you're going to hear individual things, but go and read the overall story. He actually took out one of the Marauders and by snapping his neck, and then turned to the other ones and said, "Make peace with your gods, little man. I'm coming for you," or something like that. And it was like, whoa, this is not the way we thought, especially Colossus would act, and it made them kind of up the ante of, what do you do? You're a hero. How far do you go? We always know how far Wolverine's going to go, but how about the other ones? How about Storm? How about Nightcrawler? How about Kitty Pryde? And a lot of them took a beating. There was a lot of injuries there for a while. So as far as like an event, I can remember everybody being really excited about it. Like, because at that time, you didn't know what the hell was going on. There was no internet. You didn't know. You just knew something bad was going to happen. And it crossed over into about, I don't know, like, you have it over there. What are the issue breakdown things?
Oh. Breakdown issues are Uncanny X-Men 210, 11, 212, 210, 211, 212, and 213. X Factor 10, 11, and 12.
And there was also like I think a random Power Pack issue maybe.
Yeah, and there was
Thor.
a Thor issue there,
Yeah.
too.
It is traded in its own little trade. I don't know if it's in print, but I know it's. I know because
I thought they just had it not too awful long ago
probably.
in the previews.
It's worth it,
Is the Thor issues and everything included in
Yep.
that trade?
and maybe even X Factor in it too. Was there an issue of X? Oh, you said X Factor, didn't you?
Yeah, X Factor was...
Yeah, X Factor
Yeah.
10, 11, and 12.
I think for me, it was my first X-Men event. because I wasn't around for Dark Phoenix Saga. You know, I read that after the fact, and it made an impact, man. It was not as cohesive a storytelling event. You know, there was some choppiness to it here and there, but like especially when you move to other titles out of the X books. But the overall feeling was very interesting and very powerful at that time. We also had like a powerless Storm at that time, and she was fighting Callisto. And
Yeah, I remember those issues. I was going to ask you if that was part of that.
we're just scouring through some Marvel Universe handbooks where they have like the Marauders team up, and also the Morlocks that in the Dead issue that died. I'm just turning there. Hold on a second. Here's a pretty cool image. Whoops. That I always like. They show in there of the Marauders getting it. They were nasty dudes.
Hard.
Yeah. They were nasty, you know, the Marauders. And this is where Sabretooth really came into prominence in the X universe. He was around in Iron Fist, but this was the crossover that made him what he is and gave him the rivalry with Wolverine.
That late, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? I'm pretty sure that's correct, because I don't remember him from before that.
Yeah, I mean, the first issues that I can remember were like the ones in Wolverine, I guess, like number 10 or so, where they kind of had like a flashback. But yeah, this was you know, laying the groundwork. He made some references. They made some references like, you know, they had fought before, and
right.
he knew him from back when, and it really started people, you know, is it his father? Is it his, you know, brother? Or they son? You know, all that kind of, you know, stuff. So yeah,
It's his brother's son's uncle's daughter.
Roommate.
It also eventually introduced Psylocke into the X-Men, the wrap-up issues, and that's when Alan Davis finally took over the artwork. But I can remember that Wolverine versus Sabretooth issue going for big bucks at that time. It was when 61, 71, I guess Marvel was going through their 25th anniversary, and they had that uniform cover where they had all the characters on the borders, and they had Wolverine in the middle, and that was the big issue. That was the one where he battled Sabretooth.
I remember I got a lot of those issues because at the time, Woolworths had plastic bags with 3 comics in them, and they were all those issues. So I had, I got a whole bunch of them from that, and I had scattered issues. I think it was the only issue of Captain America I ever owned up to that point. It was one of those.
So we're talking sometime cover date-ish around like November 86 or so. And it's pretty important of a story at that time, and then like Shane mentioned, it was later revealed, I don't know, like an Uncanny X-Men 350 or
yeah, it was a
like
it was a
that,
big anniversary issue.
Yeah, 250,
300 or 350.
Yeah, that Gambit was actually the one that led the Marauders to the Morlocks for Sinister. Sinister was the one that was in control of Mr. Sinister was the one that was in control of the Marauders, and it was like this huge revelation. I was like,
yeah,
he was a traitor,
right?
He was the traitor that Bishop remembered. All was that?
I think so. I think when he came back
from the
he had
from
said
the
there was a
future.
traitor that did this, and that was who it was.
Was Gambit established then?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, not
No,
not
no.
in this.
Oh no,
one.
So
not
they
not
just
back in the
retconned it?
story.
Yeah,
Retconned it?
yeah.
Yeah, he didn't come in until like
266.
the Silvestri or Jim Lee
Yeah.
issues or something.
It was Uncanny X-Men 266. Yeah, which would have been like 50 issues after this happened.
Right. The thing what we mentioned about Archangel was, Angel. He was, I guess a victim of this terrorism and got harpooned, almost crucified up against this wall or whatever, and they tried to save him, but they couldn't, and his wings had to be amputated. So he was going through this whole thing in X Factor of like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Da 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 da. Fakes his. Well, no, I guess he doesn't fake it. He actually tries to commit suicide in that plane.
Yep.
But he's pulled out by Apocalypse.
Yep.
And that's where you get into
Which
full.
is the first appearance of Apocalypse.
And that's where eventually you get the whole Archangel, and he becomes the
One of the 4 horsemen.
one of the 4 horsemen. Right? I couldn't remember which. Death, I guess he is. Yes.
Yeah, because there's war, pestilence, and famine.
Right. So that was it. Was at the time it was like, wow, they're actually making changes. They're actually doing something that's like,
Yeah.
And it was Simonson, so of course I
Yep.
love it.
Yep.
And I'm partial to Archangel over regular Angel any day. That costume and those wicked wings are much cooler than the big fluffy bird wings.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I think they look sleek, but I'm happy with Angel.
No, every time I look at regular Angel, I'm like, give me Archangel. Where's the purple and the blue? I want that back.
So it was neat because you didn't know who the Marauders were, you didn't know who Mr. Sinister was, you didn't know anything. It was just like all of a sudden just chaos.
You still don't know who Mr. Sinister really is.
Well, that's true.
They've never resolved that.
That is definitely
that
true.
whole thing about why the Summers brothers don't hurt him whenever they fire on him.
Right. So if you're interested at all in
Summers brothers,
in kind of a self-contained event, this one, I don't know. For my money, it's pretty decent. I do like it. It's worth a read. It's worth a read because it is a part of X-Men history. So then we moved to Fall of the Mutants, which was maybe about a year and a half later. And this is the one that had the house ads of all the mutants laid out by Alan Davis. They looked like they were dead, and there was Horizon in the background. It was like, uh-oh, what's this? This one had an interesting build-up as well. For my money, I can't say the execution of it was... There was like no overall story. It just was like this event, title, concept, Fall of the Mutants. But it was like, okay, but what's the connecting story? There didn't seem to be one. For my money. I don't know how anybody else felt. But again, it featured X Factor and Uncanny X-Men. Let's see, I'm just going through here. Forge and Storm were together, and all of a sudden something happened where they got sucked into this other place where they had to battle the adversary, which is a villain to Forge.
Just sounds too much like LaForge, the security guard from Mallrats.
And eventually, what happened is at the end, the X-Men had to make a choice of saving the whole universe. So they had to agree that they would pass themselves off, that they would be dead, or that they would give themselves for the world. They got the whole thing with the Siege Perilous, this gem. God, I forgot all this stuff. I'm reading a synopsis right now.
And they wonder why the X universe is so hard to...
know.
Yeah. Why it's so convoluted.
So what happened? Basically, what happened is Roma, this goddess, this spiritual goddess that was big, would eventually go into like Excalibur. She would be featured in some other stuff. She sent them to Australia, and nobody would remember that they were alive or just that they were around. They couldn't be detected by any kind of audio or visual source, and they just lived. This is where you get Wolverine as Patch. And
all right.
Right. With I'm pretty sure, is it Patch? Yeah, I think it was
It's
Patch.
Patch. Yep.
Down in Australia, and wacky.
Which
X-Men stories.
was that the time when the with Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends was coming on, and that's where you got the Australian accent Wolverine in that one cartoon.
Is that?
No, that would have been...
I thought that was way earlier.
I think that was early 80s.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
Maybe like 83, 84. I'm not 100% though.
Well, I think the X-Men at this time, this is when you had like Longshot and Dazzler and Psylocke, and you had a lot of the secondary X-Men characters. And again, it was... I remember the New Mutants also had Fall of the Mutants on as a banner for like 2 or 3 issues, and they went to this island, and that's where they got a hold of Bird Boy, and there was this guy, I guess, the Reanimator, and it just was like...
That wasn't the Art Adams issue of New Mutants, was it?
No. That was that Asgard story? Is that what
yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
No, it just was like this umbrella event where just bad things happen. It's kind of how I can explain it. It's never been traded, I'm pretty sure. Find it in the 50-cent bin because it's okay, but it's not anything too special. But this is where you get the whole Archangel thing, and he came back to torment his team. And how soon after did he actually return to good again?
It was only within like a couple issues, I thought.
Was it?
Yeah, I just recently, a couple years ago, reread those issues, and I don't think it was very long that he stayed evil.
Yeah.
Wasn't Wolverine and Cyclops also eventually Apocalypse's...
Later.
Yeah,
much later. I mean, the Hulk has been a member of one of the Horsemen at a time. And
because that's when Wolverine got his adamantium back, correct?
Right. And actually, to kind of reconnect with what's going on now, there is a storyline where supposedly there's supposed to be some new horsemen again, and you're not supposed to know the identity. And so I don't know when that's actually going to play itself out, but there's rumblings about that happening. So, 2 events, Mutant Massacre and Fall of the Mutants. I would hedge my bets and go for Mutant Massacre more.
Yeah.
Go for the trade. It's worth it. It's worth the read for once. And
our overall thoughts,
yeah.
Seems to be what we're going for.
Oh yeah, not all of them are going to be. Not all of them can be Secret Wars 2, you know.
Bloodlines from DC.
Oh.
Identity Disc.
We haven't gotten that far yet.
All right, Peter's the Stump the Rios from John Mayo.
Oh, another one.
So, DC. We all know that Peter is a big fan of the new Teen Titans, so I thought it'd be nice and have my DC question be from that area of the DC universe. Question: what is the civilian name of the Ravager that is a relative of Deathstroke?
Crap, I don't know his last name. His first name's Wade. I don't know the last name, though.
He has Bill Walsh.
The coach of the 49ers?
He says, for a follow-up question, bonus follow-up, name all 4 Ravagers and describe their relationship to Deathstroke.
It's Grant Wilson, his son. The current Rose Wilson, his daughter. Wade, I could have sworn that was his brother, his like half-brother or something like that.
That's correct.
Oh, you said in the first one it was Bill Walsh.
Well, he says...
Bill, because there was another one that was like his partner in the war, his buddy in the war, that became the guy who cut Jericho's throat as a kid. And
maybe he meant to say, what is the civilian name of the Ravager that isn't a relative? Because the other 3 are relatives, and Bill Walsh, he says, is a rival of Slade Wilson at Camp Washington, made Joseph Wilson mute.
Right, because he was the Jackal. It is Wade. Wade's the half brother, and I guess Bill Walsh. Okay,
so maybe he just meant to say isn't instead of is.
Okay. I know my Deathstroke, man. Although I don't know.
Titans.
What does he have Wade's last name? Because I don't know.
Wade Defarge.
Oh, okay.
LaForge.
Isn't it almost like Peter LaForge in Dodgeball?
Yeah.
Okay, Marvel. Captain America. One of the most recognizable characters in the Marvel Universe is Captain America, and one of the most iconic aspects of Captain America is his shield. How many different shields has Captain America had over the years?
He has the triangle, right? Or whatever, not the triangle.
The
Interstate.
the interstate sign.
He's had the adamantium one. He's had that energy one. 4.
11.
Holy jeez.
I mean, is he counting the one that he had as the captain? Was that a different one? Remember,
here's the quick rundown.
Go ahead.
A badge-shaped bulletproof shield given by King T'Challa of Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
A regular badge-shaped bulletproof shield. I don't know why that's different. Disc-shaped indestructible shield, the classic shield. Steel disc-shaped shield. Same one that's improved with electronic magnetic components by Tony Stark. Shield number 5, a pure adamantium shield provided by Tony Stark. Shield 6, a vibranium shield provided by Black Panther. Shield 7, cool temperature plasma shield provided by S.H.I.E.L.D. Shield 8, photonic energy shield provided by S.H.I.E.L.D. Shield 9, adamantium shield with too much bounce. Shield 10, badge-shaped shield, and Shield 11, photonic energy shield with a flexible containment matrix provided by Shield.
I don't even think that's insane. Wow.
If you would have known that, that would have been it.
I'm sticking with 4.
Yeah, I was at least going 3. I mean,
Why I went with the
Well, at least I got the
interstate
first
shield,
question, so.
the round adamantium shield, the energy shield, and then once he got rid of that, he had to get another adamantium shield.
yeah.
Well, didn't he lose one in the?
Well, that was his regular
And
shield.
then he went to the energy one, and then he had to get another one.
I thought someone found that for him. His original one. That was
They did.
Yeah, Namor found it.
Just like, hey, look at this garbage.
I really liked when he lost that shield in that story, because I really felt like his pain about losing that shield, but then the rest of that series went downhill from there.
I also did that in Secret Wars too, where he had that moment where he was like, "I have to piece it together." He used his willpower.
It was shattered.
It's together.
Okay, question number 3, Independent. Before writing Fables for Vertigo and Robin for DC, Bill William wrote Elementals. He left that series before finishing the saga he had planned out. In 1998, Lone Star Press began publishing Pantheon, in which Bill William did a variation on his endgame for Elementals. Question: how many characters were on the cover of Pantheon number 1?
These are good, 'cause these are the type of questions Peter throws at us when we play that trivia game.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
17.
And the follow-up is name the characters.
Yeah, well, 17. I don't think I can.
32.
Whoa.
Can you name all 32?
No, I've never read a Pantheon book in my life. I've never even heard of it, I don't think.
Oh
yeah,
my
it was
God.
actually it was really pretty good. It wasn't. It was. You're right. It was a variant, different take, but it was well worth digging up in. If you find it in quarter bins or dollar bins, definitely pick them up because they're well worth reading.
Yeah, I'm not going to name them. There's a lot there.
It's just 32.
No, I can't. I couldn't even tell you one, and have read all of the Pantheon books.
Well, that's good. Thank God for that new Teen Titans question.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
All right.
You
You want to do it off the rack?
Sure.
Go.
I'm going to go through a short list of what I read this week, because I did pretty good. Daredevil 82. I read Scar Tissue 1, JLA 122, 23, and 24, The Moth 1, and Gravity 1.
How's that moth?
Good. I picked that up because of an issue of Draw Magazine. The latest issue had an article with Steve Root in it about Moth, and I went to the comic store on Wednesday, and I'm walking around, and I saw it, and I'm like, oh, hey, I just read an article about that, and me and Scott Powers talked about it, and I picked up the issues and started reading that. It's good. Nice artwork. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Well,
I'm just glad I picked
Steve
it up.
Root, you can't go wrong
Yeah,
with that.
yeah.
What's the premise behind that?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head at the moment.
He's a moth. And
He's a moth. He is.
Is it humorous? Is it superhero?
He's kind of humorous. He's involved in a circus. He seems to have taken over running the circus for somebody else that passed on or left, and yeah, and he's kind of a secondary hero, I would say, because there's in Mystery Men there's the character, the hero that has advertisements everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Captain Amazing or something.
Captain Amazing, yeah. Well, there's a like an American-made type character, a female, all done up in red, white, and blue stripes, and she does sponsorships and stuff.
Okay.
And he goes out in search of funding for the circus. I think that's how the first issue goes, and then he ends up getting his butt kicked, and she comes in and saves him, and that's where I left it off from there. It seems a little bit not on the super serious side. You're taking it from his standpoint, I think, a little bit. I'm curious to see if he becomes like a team member of hers now, or if they start like working together, or if she's like, nah, forget it. But he gets his butt handed to him pretty good.
Cool.
It was a good book to read. I recommend it. Just the artwork alone, like Jamie said, you can't go wrong. It's gorgeous.
Everybody's looking at me. I really haven't had a chance to read that much this week. I just actually finished up our Book of the Month Club selection, Wanted, which I'll go into when we actually do the episode, and kind of caught up with Legion of Superheroes 12 and 13, which actually 12, 13, and 14, which I don't know. That storyline it's not that great. I really am not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed some of the earlier ones. I don't know if it's just a matter of I'm letting too much time go between reading them. I'm not reading them as quickly. To me, that's reading like the 3 in a row. It made the storyline. I remembered a lot of stuff that was going on, but still, when I got to the end of it, I just was like, this may be the last one of these that I actually pick up. So
Not interested when Supergirl comes into it?
not really. I'd rather see Superboy. I'd rather see them bring back Superboy into the Legion somehow, rather than Supergirl, because she's she's already got her stories that they're going to be telling. They're telling in this century why shoot her into the future. Bring Superboy, there's a Superboy here, but he's more Connor than he is Superboy. I feel his persona is more Connor than Superboy, so I'd rather see the iconic Superboy in with all the rest of the Legion. And then just today I just started catching up on the She-Hulk, which we had talked about, I guess, last episode or a couple episodes ago, and that book is just fantastic.
Really?
I really enjoy it. That book makes me laugh out loud, and just some of the stuff he's been doing, some of the attorney stuff and the lawyer stuff that they're doing. Not to really spoil anything, but they're doing this this trial, which has had so much publicity that they actually bring a jury from the past forward, and they realize that they bring a jury of people that will die within the next year. So no matter what, if they take back the information, it's not going to benefit anybody, because they will all have died. And one of the people, and if anybody's seen the covers to number 2, they know who pops in, but Clinton Barton is one of the jurors.
Oh, okay.
So like during the issue, he kind of he's thinks nothing of sneaking out and going around fighting crime as Hawkeye, and it involves Jennifer and her struggle whether or not she's going to tell Clint what happens, and it's just really good. And it's Dan Slott, like we've been saying before, is just definitely a writer to watch. He's really put some good stuff out.
Now I'm a little behind on the second series since the second incarnation since that started, but that first series you turned me on to that. That was I never expected to like that, and it is a good funny book.
Yeah, it is.
I even thought about picking up The Thing since he's doing that too.
I just got done reading the first one. I have the second and third one on a pile, and the first one was good. It was enjoyable. It's kind of, if you like the Villain Arcade, he's in it, and it's kind of what would happen. They have this Martha Stewart character has a big party, and all of a sudden everybody gets knocked out, and now they're all on like a Survivor island. So, and along with is the Thing and Nighthawk and the Constrictor. They're also as part of it, so it looks like it's going to be funny. I'm looking forward to reading the rest.
Is that an ongoing?
Mm-hmm.
I think
yes,
so. Yeah,
it's ongoing. I finally read the Rand Thanagar War trade. I was very disappointed. I loved the Adam Strange miniseries. I totally loved it, and the end left you at such a cliffhanger, and I couldn't wait to keep reading the story. I need a whole episode to understand what the hell happened in that. I mean, I understand what happened at the end, but who the hell is who, and all these characters and all these races, and one minute they're fighting this guy, and then they're betraying them, and then they're fighting the other guy, and then this guy's betraying that guy, and this guy's fighting this guy, and they all look the same, but they're all different, and it's like, I had no idea. I mean, I knew Adam Strange, his wife, Hawkman, and Hawkgirl, and that Tygor guy. Those are the only characters I recognized. When they were on the page, I knew who was who. When they weren't, I had no idea. And the whole thing was 6 issues of nothing until the last 10 pages. That's what mattered. That's what got you to the end, and that's what sets up the next step. So the rest, I mean, I don't know. I was completely. I contemplated not even finishing it because I was like, this. I have no. There's pointless for me to read this, but I just hung in there anyway. So I don't know. Of all it's the one I wanted to like the most, and I was the most excited to read. Ended up liking it the least, and just now I have that the special coming to me, and I'm like, oh god, what headache am I going to get reading the special? I
think the special is a little bit better than the issues for your taste. I think I hope you would like the special a little bit more. It's
I hope
bit more
so
condensed.
too.
It has a little more point behind it.
Yeah.
It really felt like they could have just. I'm one who almost never feels that anything could be told in less time, and I felt like this. It could have been the last 10 pages. Could have been the entire Rand Thanagar War. Really, and that's what I was like. Maybe the last issue. That could have been the whole miniseries. It's a 1-issue miniseries. There you go. Tells the story. Done. See you. Bye.
I think that's the one that appealed too much to long-term readers.
I think it had to, because I didn't know any of those characters and who the hell they were talking about, and all these alien races. Oh my god!
I did enjoy Captain Comet being in it. That was kind of.
See, cool. I never even heard of that guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, who's this guy? He seems to be pretty powerful. Why haven't I ever heard of him?
You haven't read any of those space stories.
Exactly. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it the other way. I read Duran Thanagar, and then I went back and read Adam Strange, and I felt the opposite. I felt Adam Strange was boring, and I didn't. It was like, when is this going to end? And I really actually liked Duran Thanagar War because I thought it brought more of those space races, which I like, into it. So that's I think it's just the opposite. Whereas I like those space ones, you didn't really understand it, and
I also feel that because I enjoyed it too, but I understand that. I think it does have that kind of fault to it.
Oh, definitely.
And I also think the Donna Troy one is also the same thing. It relies too heavy on what you already know.
Oh my God, that Donna Troy one! I read all those.
That one was hard,
and I had trouble remembering who everybody was, and because I read all that Donna Troy stuff up and when she left, and all the Chronos stuff and all that,
right.
And I was like going, my brain was going to explode because I was just trying to remember who everybody was.
Yeah, and Phil Jimenez was quite verbose during that whole thing. I read it as it came out, but then read it straight through as well.
The Return of Donna Troy.
Yeah, The Return of Donna, and it made a lot of sense that way. But it was another one, that and Duran Thanagar. I go, this is really
great. I
appealing
got
to...
that Return of Donna Troy trade coming to me in this shipment.
Well, the good thing about
just
it,
burn
though,
it. Just burn it right now.
No. The good thing about it is it does explain who everybody is. Like what Duran Thanagar doesn't do is it doesn't give you who these people are.
Yeah.
But in that Donna Troy trade, you get the 3 issues where she dies, which is,
Well, I read that because that was that Titan graduation day thing.
Right.
Yeah, I read that.
So when you get to this
Were you
one,
getting teary-eyed, Peter?
Huh?
Were you getting teary-eyed?
No, it's just the story was ridiculous. But when you get to the actual Donna Troy stuff, it's wordy, but he does at least explain more than Dave Givens does in Duran Thanagar.
Well, and Duran Thanagar War, I never read a lot of the space stuff, but I've learned enough about who these different characters and races are that I kind of could hold my own reading it without getting totally bogged down in that. So I at least got through it, and I understood who they were, and got through it and enjoyed it more than what Brian did, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to rate all 4 of them, that I always thought was the weakest of the 4, but absolutely. I still enjoyed it.
What about you, Matt?
Well, let's see, in this past week, I was able to read this nice article on how it's cheaper to get a over-the-phone translating service as opposed to a person actually could speak another language when you're taking a statement, and a nice article about Stacy Keebler. But 2 weeks ago, the last couple of comics I was reading was some of the back issues I picked up at Golden Eagle, Batman issues that were in the 300s. And I have to say, I hope this becomes the standard for Batman after the Infinite Crisis, because then I'll save myself some money, because I'm definitely not going to be picking up any of the issues. So, it's trying to get some back issues taken care of right now.
Who was the writer on some of that early stuff?
I don't remember. I remember Gene Colan was one of them, but I just remember some of the stories were horrible.
Is that Batman or was that Detective with Gene Colan?
He at least wrote 1 issue.
He wrote?
He wrote? No, I think he...
No, I forget. I remember seeing his name going, what the heck is this? I think it was a...
Great eye for detail there, Detective.
Yeah, I know. Well, excuse me. I'm not getting paid to read this stuff.
I was just thinking that, but I wasn't going to say it.
This should be a full-time job for you, Detective.
Truthfully, I just skim those older issues because there's so much freaking exposition, and I can't stand the dialogue. It just irritates, and I can't stand the characterization of Batman. It's just...
From even that time, from the early time, when he was more the superhero kind of...
Oh, I can't stand it.
Huh.
It was... I was looking at the date. It was a couple issues were 78. A couple of them were, I think, 82 that I was reading, and I just could not... When I read that...
Well, that's not the Batman you started reading, though, right? You started reading the more
The first Batman issue that I ever read was part 2 of The Death in the Family. And then I got some of the stuff leading up. Then I really got back into it during Nightfall. But that earlier stuff, when I read it, the voice in my head is the Adam West voice. But when I read the current stuff, then it's the Kevin Conroy voice. And it's just, I just can't. To me, I like, as much as it pisses people off that he's a dick, he's paranoid, I like the Batman the way he is now, and that's the way he should be.
Yeah, you're right. You're not going to enjoy
and that's
any
why
of the stuff that's coming up.
I can't stand, I hope that's the standard for the next 20 years, because I'm going to save myself a shitload of money, because I'll be reading Moon Knight. Spider-Man's pissing me off.
Knock off, so that's fine.
So, you know what?
Gotta give him a little
say,
bit.
you say that you say that while Kevin's not in the room.
Yeah.
I'll
That's
say it
what-
with him here.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll listen. Ay, ay, ay.
368, I think, is that one with Gene Colan in it
Okay.
that he worked on. It was when they moved back into the Batcave from his penthouse apartment, and Man-Bat was hiding out in the Batcave.
When did I have to look that up when it started with the penthouse? I know we talked about it before, but I may have just about all those issues.
I think it was around 301, because I think
wow.
in those issues that's where he was staying at.
Cool.
I want to do a quick shout out to some podcasts. Bruce Rosenberger's Comics Cast just went through a 3-part cartoon retrospective with Rick Croxton and Van Reed.
That was great.
25, 26, 27.
Yep.
Especially if you're a fan of the older cartoons. They eventually go into some of the later
But they
stuff.
were talking about how most young kids don't know about these, and just by chance, I mean, we had a thread going on the forum, and I listed like 78 different cartoons I grew up with, and all the stuff they talked about, there was maybe 2 on there that I didn't recognize at all. So I either saw it or my mom talked about it when I was little, about things she watched when she was a kid. So I had a clue about just about everything they talked about. I really enjoyed those episodes.
Check out Geek Nights. They just they have about 50 plus episodes at www.frontrowcrew.com. One of our forum members, Appreciate, I forget. I don't know how you say it. Apreche. He's part of that. There's a new comicmakers.blogspot.com with Charlie Mangual and David Arroyo. They're basically trying to break in the biz, so this is their little audio blog of how they're going to do that, and it's basically they talk about a lot of indie and self-published books.
Is David in Puerto Rico?
I think that's who that is. Yeah.
I thought so too.
So I wanted to give a shout out to them, and of course we should let everybody know about what we just did before we recorded this episode.
Oh yeah, we were guests on the Around Comics podcast, which I think is being released the same day as this episode, and probably around the same time. So by the time you listen to this, that should be available for download at aroundcomics.com. And we have time for just 2 short voicemails, so let's listen. Come on, you horse's ass. Let's go.
Hi, guys. This is Randy Dixon, or Jonah, on the board. I just got back from Comic Geek Speak, episode 100, 550.2 miles later. Had a great time. Just wanted to say thank you. Then I started adding up the damage. Food, tolls, and gas, $34.59. Comics that I bought at the Golden Eagle, $56.95. Meeting the CGS guys and stopping the Rios with the Legion of Superheroes question, priceless. Really appreciated the time a lot. I'll see you guys at the New York Comic Con. Later.
Cool. I'm looking forward to seeing him again.
Yeah, it was cool to meet him.
He knows his stuff, man. He really does.
He sure does.
Hi, my name's Franco Sarmiento. Hello, Comic Geek Speaks. I'm Funk Sinatra in the forum. I'm from the Philippines, and I'm the guy you constantly refer to as the one who pointed out that the Jaime kid in Animal Man could be the Jaime, who is the new Blue Beetle. Anyway, I just wanted to extend my deepest thanks to you for pointing out that Marvel Team Up is a fun read. I never thought that I'd enjoy it, but I did. I started with MTU 14, and I'm loving it. Speedball is the shiznit. Anyway, I just want to know what your thoughts are on those old Marvel radio shows. I have a couple of episodes, namely those Fantastic Four radio shows. Face the Hulk, which pits Fantastic Four and the Hulk against each other, and another one called Meet the Mole Man. And being in what we can call as the iPod generation, do you think it would be a good thing to create new episodes of these comic radio shows? That's all. Thanks, and more power to you guys. Comic Geek Speak is the shiznits. And my sister is here with me since you guys would want to talk to a female person. I just want you guys to listen to her. Say hi.
Hi.
She's kind of shy, so that's all. Bye.
That's awesome.
I would love to see more radio style things. Like when Kingdom Come came on audiobook, I loved it because it was full cast audio. We actually, as the
Nightfall.
CGS group, yeah, that was good too.
And that's a Superman.
We have those from Bruce Rosenberg. I have them at my house, and I just haven't put them on my iPod yet. But we have all those radio shows that he
Share
passed
the love,
down to us.
man. Share the love.
I think they should be podcasted or for the iPod as well as video.
Yeah.
They can download.
Yeah. But I like those. I like the radio
Well,
show
I
type
think
things.
it's, I think if they want to, really push the envelope of not push the envelope, but they just want to experiment with their options. It would be interesting if Marvel or DC had a weekly half-hour, radio program that was for the iPod. It was just downloaded MP3 off their website, where they. They had even if it was just, Dan DiDio played the role of Superman and, somebody else read the role. I mean, we just got an email just this week, somebody saying we should read a comic on the air. We should just pick a comic book and we should each take a part and we should read it on the air. And, it's like, well, that's kind of an interesting idea. I mean, maybe as a special episode, you guys, I can't even concentrate on what I'm saying.
That's what I was thinking. Look at me and just talk to me, Brian. They're all doing other stuff.
We could experiment with that and see if
sure.
it would work. But I mean, I think on a semi-professional level, it would be intriguing to go back to the days of the radio where you sit around and
those thrilling days of yesteryear.
What were you trying to motion to me, Matt?
I believe that was a
Steal
contest
second?
idea that I had a month or two ago, where we take a comic and just read some of the dialogue, a couple pages, and you had to figure out what comic it was in. We
Oh yeah.
well, that actually is a good idea. How did Matt come up with that? No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I do.
Hey,
He's an idea man.
The idea man.
When I drive around by myself most of the day, what else?
yeah, right. And speaking of the idea, man, he's the one who came up with the scavenger hunt. And I just want to say that we added another prize. Shane donated some posters, and you'll have your choice of either
it's
the Alex Ross
Aquaman, Flash.
Oh, you only gave me two.
Aquaman and Flash.
Yeah. So along with all the other prizes, you'll either get to take the Alex Ross Aquaman or the Alex Ross Flash, whichever one you prefer. We'll throw that.
That
in
reading
as well.
a comic is a pretty good idea. It just narrows Peter down to Vibe and Aranya.
And White Tiger.
Aranya.
There are actually some podcasts that do.
Oh yeah.
There are audio books.
And
there's one guy who's done the first one and he's on the second one. He wrote a novel, and he released each episode as a chapter of his novel. Earthcore was the first one, and now I forget the name of the second one.
Well, there's a guy
doing.
on our site. He posted on our forum too. It's like
school.
Dismay, I think it is, the Dismay podcast, and he's basically telling his comic story on the podcast. If that's wrong, I'll put a link on the show notes. But it's an intriguing idea.
Yeah.
For everybody who, if you're in your car all the time.
Yeah, it's just cool.
And that's a great shout out from the Philippines.
Yeah, that's cool.
Brings it all together from our
And his
story.
sister.
I guess we should remind everyone that our Book of the Month selection for February is Wanted by Mark Miller and J.G. Jones from Top Shelf. Not Top Shelf, Top Cow.
Top Cow.
I was going to say, that's not quite a Top Shelf. But, and if you're interested, you can get it from DCBS for 40% off.
And J.G. Jones is going to be at New York.
Sweet.
If you want to participate, send in a recorded message. Don't send a voicemail because we have no way of knowing who it's from or what it's about.
Yeah, if the only way you can record your voice is sending a voicemail, then send us an email, 5 seconds or a minute, 5 minutes after you send the voicemail, saying, "Hey, I just sent a voicemail about it," because otherwise I'll never know, and we just play them, one or two an episode as we get to them, so we don't pre-listen to them. So.
And you can also just post on the forum. We'll take a few choice selections out of there. That's it. We're going to wrap up.
Yeah, thanks to a reminder that this episode was sponsored by Atomica, and with big thanks to Sal for joining us and telling us some fantastic stories.
One of our best sponsors yet.
That was some of my most enjoyable 25 minutes on this show for a whole 100 and some episodes. It was great.
Good stuff.
What the hell am I doing here?
Go to New York.
Yeah, go to New York Con, see us. You got a couple more days, and buy a sketch from Mike Norton when you're there. If you want to send us an email, it's comicgeekspeak@gmail.com, and check out our website, comicgeekspeak.com. If you want to send us a voicemail, it's 206-888-4805. And pretty please, we're begging you to vote for us at Podcast Alley. It's comicgeekspeak.com/vote. As usual, we're brought to you in conjunction with worldfamouscomics.com, your spot on the internet for the best comic book and entertainment-related columns, contests, features, reviews, news, resources, and more. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.